This episode is for the parents, or really anybody who's responsible for little ones. I've brought you the one, the only Dr. Becky. You know her as Dr. Becky Kennedy. She is a clinical psychologist, best-selling author of the book Good Inside, and founder of the parenting platform Good Inside, which I can promise you my wife and we both are members of the app. She is the millennial parenting whisperer. Dr. Becky, thank you so much for coming on.
I have actually truly been very much looking forward to that. I know we both are guests often on people's podcasts, and it's an easy thing to say, but yeah, I feel like obviously we've been friends for a while, and I'm so excited to do this.
Yeah, me too. It's you and I have known each other probably over a year at least now. Has it been?
Probably 2, I'd say.
Yeah, I feel like time
flies when you're old, you know,
yeah,
like us.
Yeah, like us. Yeah, it's. I feel like it's zoomed by. It really has been able to support you through all the changes that you have, and you've certainly been there for me with all the things that we have going on. Be able to talk to you finally, face to face, even virtually, is a true pleasure. So thank you very much for coming on the podcast. And I'm excited for all the things I'm about to ask you. I have a lot. So one of the things that you have, I think it's in your book because I know I have it underlined, is that when you realize that misbehavior in kids is a skill and not a character issue, things begin to change. I know I'm paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
And I that to me, now, you know, for anybody listening, I have 2 kids, ages 7 and 5. How old are yours, Becky? 13,
10, and 7.
Yeah. Okay. You're in a different way. Okay. We each have at least a seven-year-old, and you're on a different scale than me. So when I read that immediately was like, man, that was powerful. Because I know with my daughter, that happened this morning, Dr. Becky, this morning. My son having a he's got bedhead, his hair is everywhere, and he's just eating his cereal. And my daughter is just like a tornado. Just anybody who's in her vicinity, she is going to wreck their morning. That's just kind of how it feels sometimes. It's like if you're just in the vicinity, you're gonna get it. But when you have that line that misbehavior is a skill, not a character flaw, tell me what that means to you, because I love it.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know exactly how I said it in the book, but I think the way I'd say it now is 2 ways, because we all, I feel like, need different language. Depends on what hits us. Is, as soon as you start seeing your kids' bad behavior as a sign of what they need and not as a sign of who they are, everything changes. Right. But another thing, which is,
can you say that again?
Can
you say that again, please?
As soon as you see your kids' bad behavior as a sign of what they need, not as a sign of who they are, everything changes. And I think another very practical way of saying that is that kids acting out, where it comes from, it's a skill deficit, not a behavior deficit. So the misbehavior itself, like, I don't know if it's so skilled. It's not a skill to hit someone or say, I hate you, or, lie to your parents' face. But in all those moments, we tend to very quickly assume my kid's a bad kid. We tend to collapse a bad thing or a bad behavior into a bad person. And we do that so fast without realizing it. And then we all act based on that framework versus, wait, I have a good kid. I have a good kid having a hard time. And this is a sign that my kid has some skill deficit. There is not a character deficit. We just tend to walk down a very different path after that.
I so much relate to that. In my communication stuff, and of course anybody who's listening, they listen for the communication tips, and we're going to talk about the practical stuff, is that we do the same thing with our words. You say nice things to someone, instantly you're a nice person. You hear somebody say mean things, instantly that's a mean person. Or they say funny things, you're like, it's a funny person. And I hear that in relation to our kids. Our kids misbehave, they're a bad kid. A kid says something, they say thank you or yes sir or no ma'am or whatever. Oh, it's a very polite kid. And so it's so easy how we hear one little snippet and we apply that whole label to their whole identity.
That's exactly it. And look, I mean, we could talk about this in parenting and communication. We could talk about this in like a world global scale and, how quick we are to judge. It's happening everywhere. But, behavior, the thing about it is it's visible. Like literally, you can see behavior. You see a kid hit. You see your daughter who's a tornado or your son who's a tornado. And when your kid says, you're the worst parent in the world, I hate you, you never do anything fun for me, right after you like took off work and took them to an amusement park and all you did was ask them to like change into their pajamas. That's what like provoked this whole moment. You're like, we're just talking about the pajamas I just bought you, right?
Yeah.
What happened, our brain just takes what's visible behavior and it collapses it into identity, which is always inherently invisible. It lives inside someone. And then we just start asking the wrong questions and we start intervening in ways that just deepens the problem, right? Because our initial framework, whether you see behavior as a character deficit or a skill deficit, determines everything you do next. And often people say, well, what do I do? What do I say? And give me a new strategy. Nothing's working. If nothing's working with your kid, what I would say is actually you don't need a new strategy. You don't need a new script. You definitely don't need me to like tell you something to parrot. It's not going to feel like you anyway. Probably the framework with which you see the situation, that's the thing that's not working. And so we have to start with a framework shift, which is kind of like saying the road you're on is just a bad, unproductive road. So like nothing along that road that's an unproductive road is going to help. We need to slow down and switch roads. And once we understand a new road and there's a part of you that says, oh, maybe that is what's going on for my kid. Now we can get concrete and think about strategies or different scripts or things to say. But it's actually about switching the road first.
When you say road, is that like the mindset? When you're saying like that, is that related or is it?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, to me, mindset, road, like I guess, whatever visual makes sense. But yes, your mindset is the thing you tell yourself. It's your interpretation of what's happening. And so again, I know I'm a concrete person too. Because we tend to see what's visible behavior and assume we know everything about the person, what's actually happening interpretation-wise is something I call the least generous interpretation. We all tend to default to that LGI. Like you see your kid, I don't know, jump on the couch, and you say very kindly, Bobby, I'm gonna need you to stop jumping on the couch. You're right near that glass table. I don't want you to crack your head open, whatever we say. And it depends on your kid and their temperament, but I have at least one kid like Bobby, let's just say that. And that kid would look at me, smile, and continue jumping on the couch, but this time harder. And what we do is this LGI, least generous interpretation. We say, my kid's a sociopath. My kid's a sociopath. That's it. My kid's a sociopath. They're going to be in jail. They're disrespectful. And then everything that follows after Jefferson, right? It's nothing to do with my kid jumping on the couch. Everything that happens after is only because that interpretation in my mind, that least generous interpretation. What do you do if you think your kid's a sociopath? You punish them. You make a random empty threats you have no intention of keeping, but just feel good to like yell out in the moment. And we just end up getting more incendiary with our kid versus MGI, most generous interpretation. And this is really powerful with any relationship. Just saying like, what is the most generous interpretation of why my kid would continue jumping on the couch or jump doubly as hard after I said to stop? And there's no right answer. But in that example, again, which is a framework, a thought, a road, whatever you want to call it, maybe I'd say, well, I do know this kid. All kids crave autonomy. This kid of mine, that's basically an orienting principle. It's kind of like Bobby thinks if I'm not in charge, I'm nobody. And this is almost an existential threat to have to listen to my parent. And also, I don't know, he had a bad day. Someone made fun of him at school. And so he's really looking for a moment to feel, extra in power. Once I have that interpretation, it doesn't make the jumping okay. That's what I would say. Oh, so it's okay that they jumped after you said no. No, it's not about okay. It's just about being effective. But now I might say, oh, well, he's clearly not able to make a good decision. I know Bobby. I should just go over there and say, if you're not off the couch by the time I get there, sweetie, I will take you off the couch because it's just unsafe to jump near the glass table. And now all of a sudden, I'm acting in a way where I'm on the same team as my kid. And I'm actually protecting my kid and helping my kid versus seeing him and kind of treating him like he's my mortal enemy.
This episode is sponsored by Cozy Earth. My favorite thing that I have probably in my house, without a doubt right now, are my bed sheets. Like after this episode, I'm going to be going to bed. And you know what sheets are on my bed? That's right, Cozy Earth. And I know you might be saying, well, Jefferson, they're a sponsor. Let me tell you, I liked them before they were a sponsor. That's why they are a sponsor, because these things keep me nice and cool. And I did not know at this age of my life that bed sheets were going to mean that much to me. Now, Cozy Earth has lots of awesome things. They have lots of pretty much anything you can think of soft. Their bath towels, their sweatshirts, their hoodies, their pants. There's all kinds of stuff that's fantastic. But right now, I'm digging the bed sheets. You can go to cozyearth.com/Jefferson. Use the code Jefferson and get 40% off. That's cozyearth.com/Jefferson. Use the code Jefferson to get 40% off. Their trial period, their money back guarantee, fantastic. You need to go try it, cozyearth.com. And now let's get going with the episode. In my experience, it's very easy to, when I see maybe my son's acting out, my mind, out of that fear of every parent wanting their kid to be the best as they can be, a wonderful human, a good citizen, we see that one instance of their character, and I can, in my mind, see, them at 30 years old making all the terrible decisions, and all of a sudden I'm blaming myself for who in my mind, I'm, like you said, giving the least generous interpretation of their behavior, and now going, okay, well, now they're on the path to doing terrible things, instead of just seeing that one little instance of, no, he just wanted he wanted an extra piece of gum, of just understanding that they're not getting what they want. And instead of just looking at that one little instance, I am projecting out a fear that is most likely never going to actually evolve.
Yeah. And I think that particular thing where we see this moment that's hard with our kid and we fast forward 30 years in our life, the reason that's a big problem is because we respond today with all the feelings we would have for the next 30 years versus just like, oh, wait, I have a 4-year-old, right? And I think it's helpful to give things names. Yeah. Like I call that, and I catch myself all the time. And just because I can talk about this doesn't mean I can, doesn't mean I can do it. So I'm like, oh, I'm doing the fast forward error. That's just what I call it, fast forward error. Like I'm fast forwarding the least generous scenario. Yeah. And then if I use that to respond, I'm going to respond with so much anger. And I'm almost responding, me and you, Jefferson, both, like we're almost responding just to prove to ourselves we're a good parent. Like we're not actually giving our kid again what they need. And so the flip side that I find very helpful is when your kid acts out, the truth is they're always younger today than they will be in the future. I know that sounds like a really silly thing to say, but it's helpful to me. And what that means is the stakes are always lower today. Whether your kid hits at age 4, says, I hate you at age 8, cheats on a test at age 13, all of those are lower stakes than when your kid is 18, 25, and 30. And so the good news, right? I think there's a book called The Good News About Bad Behavior, but really the good news about that is, oh, wait, I can actually help my kid build a skill they are clearly missing today before 30 years from now. And then the moment that, yes, of course, is a hard parenting moment becomes like this really high impact parenting moment where you can actually help your kid become more resilient today and years from now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to ask you a question on, this is for me. This is a personal.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's nobody listening.
No one's listening.
No one's listening, just us. So my wife and I, with our 2 kids, is we encourage argument at the house. It's not that we go, oh yeah, argue. It's that when they do argue, which is often about anything. Yeah. He's touching me when he's not. He's near my space when he's not. He has that toy that I don't even remember it's existed for 6 years, and all of a sudden, he has it. Is we allow the argument to happen. So we say, as long as you're not name calling, as long as you're not hitting, and as long as you're not kind of bragging that, look what I got kind of behavior, we allow them to talk because it's like, nope, y'all talk it out. That's usually our phrase. Yep. Y'all work it out. Y'all work it out. Because we want to teach them these skills now. Great. Versus waiting until later. I want to know, since I have you on the clock here with me, what do you think about that?
I mean, I love it, right? And I think what you're saying, big picture, and then we'll just come back for the sibling rivalry and sibling conflict stuff, is I'm parenting for the long run. Like, that's what I always say at Good Inside. We're very long-term greedy. Like, okay, when our kids are 30, they're going to be in a relationship with people they love. And in moments they really don't get along with, they want something the other person has. They're jealous, they're angry, they're disappointed. Like, those skills, managing anger, communicating in a respectful way, even when you're angry at someone that you want to continue being in a relationship with. Nobody gives those skills at 30. Like, no one's like, you're 30, here's, as you know, here's communication skills. You're 25, here, now you know how to manage jealousy. Like, these, when parents say to me, well, at what age will my kids stop arguing? At what age will my kids stop freaking out about small things? What I say is, like, again, what would you say if someone said, at what age will your kid learn how to swim? Like, there's no, I don't know, like, what are you doing with the years? Right?
Not until they get in the water, you know?
Yeah, like, well, have they learned how to swim? Are they level 1? Are they level 2? No one just, like, gets it at an age. We have age wrong, right? Development, like, and skill building doesn't just unfold. So what you're saying is, how can I set my kids up to know that, first of all, there are limits. There are certain things that are never allowed in respectful relationships. And there are other things that are allowed. And honestly, you need time and skills and practice to get better at those things. That doesn't just happen with age. And so what you're saying feels perfectly in line with that overall philosophy, right? It's also why I'm guessing you're not going to tie your kids' shoes until they're 18 and then expect them to do it at age 18. Like, so I think the other thing around that I think about a lot in this kind of age of over-functioning for our kids is just, what jobs do I want to keep having for my kids over the years, and what jobs do I want to work my way out of? And is my behavior as a parent consistent with that? So, like, my kids, when they're older, like, if they're, I don't know, they get fired from a job or they have a breakup, like, I will always be happy if they're like, hey, can I talk this out with you? Like, being there for them in hard moments, always happy to have that job. Like, water bottle rememberer? Nope. Like, I've nope.
Where your shoes are. It's just not a job.
Yeah, picking up the towel, calling the doctor for your own appointment, checking in, ordering at a restaurant, and deciding who's right or how to move forward in an argument. Like, I think what happens is we often, in the moment with our kids when they're arguing, the quickest, easiest thing to do is something like, fine, you get the red cup today and you get the red cup tomorrow. Because in the moment, they're like, fine. But then we shouldn't be surprised when our kids are like, you know, instead of 4 and 7, now all of a sudden they're like 13 and 16, and they're fighting about who gets the car in the car first, something that seems, and we're like, why do you guys keep coming to me? Well, I have locked in this pattern. One kid gets upset at the other. They both come to me. I am the arbiter of who is right, which not only locks yourself into a role you don't want, but also reflects back to your kid something that we don't realize we're reflecting back, which is, I don't think the two of you are capable of solving your own problems, which is why I continue to do it for you. And so not only are we having a job we don't want and depriving our kid of the right to kind of build those skills, which they'll need for the rest of their life, we're also kind of saying to our kid that we don't think they're capable of doing something, which is why which again, none of those are things we actually want, but our behavior ends up communicating it. So I love what you're saying. There's rules, there's guidelines, there's limits, and then there's space to figure it out.
Yeah, and one, I'm personally, selfishly grateful you approve, because if you didn't, we'd be changing some stuff.
If I didn't, you just have to lie to my face.
For sure, absolutely. Second of all is, I want to, highlight for everybody listening here, all right, Dr. Becky has an online platform called Good Inside. And this is my plug for it, because we use it, we love it, all right? We use it all the time. The book's fantastic.